Okay, Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, we are going to step away from fasting for a second, and we're gonna talk about some things you should be eating and some things you really shouldn't be eating inside your eating window. So I'm really excited to bring you the science, excited to have this conversation with you, and it may just make you wanna go run out and buy a loaf of bread, but you're gonna do it in a really smart way that benefits your health. Okay, Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, I want to talk about some things, specifically grains, that you may have sworn off when you decided to take on a keto and fasting lifestyle. And there are 4 different types of grains that I want you to know about, and some of them I want to really come out and say, absolutely, you should avoid these. And some of them I want you to actually reconsider, and I'm going to show you the science on why and where they fit into a keto and fasting lifestyle. So the first grain that I would really encourage you to completely avoid, I don't think anybody benefits from it, and it's the modern wheat. So right now, the way that wheat is grown in our country here in America, but now it's really becoming more worldwide, but especially here in America, is that it is a different type of wheat, and it is creating an inflammatory response in the body. So it is hurting the microbiome. It is causing things like bloatedness, brain fog. Think of wheat as an inflammatory food. So if you want to have more pain, if you want more brain fog, if you want to have trouble losing weight, keep eating wheat. Doesn't matter if it's organic or not. The way that the modern wheat is milled without fiber, and the way that it is grown, it is toxic to the human body, and over time you will struggle with it. You may not notice it right away, some of you do, but over time you will struggle with it. So the modern wheat, whether it's organic or not, I highly recommend you avoid. Second type of grain that a lot of you, including myself, and I'm shying away from it now, but a lot of people are doing are gluten-free grains. So these are your spelt, your Camoot, your rice, your coconut flours, your almond flours. Now, these grains can be really amazing because they don't have proteins in them like gliadinin. Gliadinin is what you will find in gluten that stimulates hunger in your brain and causes this inflammatory immune response. So you've taken gluten out, but remember that gluten-free grains are still highly processed, so they can really spike your blood sugar, which is why a lot of you probably have done the progression that like I did, which was I went from modern wheat, organic modern wheat, to, I think I better try gluten-free grains. But then I was doing a bunch of gluten-free grains, and I still would find that my blood sugar would be on an up and down roller coaster. So if you're somebody who's been fasting and you're struggling with balancing your blood sugar and you're eating gluten-free grains, I want to encourage you to avoid them because, again, low fiber, highly processed, they're going to spike your glycemic index. Just because they're gluten-free doesn't mean they're a health food. Okay, third type of grain, and this is where it gets really fun. These are ancient grains. So I'm going to show, I got the science for you. Here's what's interesting about ancient grains. These are typically coming from more heritage seeds, so they haven't been this new version of wheat that so many people are getting. They're old ancient seeds that most of these grains have been grown with. And most of the ancient grains, and you'll start to see these on the labels in the loaves of bread at the store. Most of them are really nutty and nutty tasting. They're really fibrous. So where gluten-free grains and the modern wheat grains, those are very milled and smooth tasting. Ancient grains are going to be a lot more nutty. They're going to take a lot longer for you to break them down. Your taste buds may not like them as much, but there's some incredible benefit to these ancient grains. So one of the things is remember, because they're so fibrous, that you're not going to have as much of a glucose response like you did with the first 2 categories. So a lot of people can notice, like on a feast day, that they can get away with trying some ancient grains. Now, if you do ancient grains that also don't have gluten in them, like Camoot and spelt and amaranth, grains like that, teff, those grains are not only ancient, but they're also gluten-free. Now, this is a really interesting grain to be adding into a feast day. So let me tell you some of the benefits that I found through science. Again, bringing you guys the science so that you can dive into this yourself. One is Camoot. So Camoot, you want to lean into this grain when you're looking to bring down inflammation and you're looking to bring down cholesterol. So Camoot has been known to bring down LDLs and raise HDLs. Okay, well, how can we use that in our keto fasting lifestyle? And as many of you know, I'm a big fan of diet variation, and I'm a big fan of feast days. So when you go into a feast day and you're not counting macros, carb macros, how about you try some Camoot bread, and it for helping with managing cholesterol. So that would be like a moment where you can lean into some of these ancient grains. But you want it, I mean, on the bread, you're going to see that it says ancient grains. You want it to say organic. You want it to say ancient grains. Now you know you're getting back down to the real root of what that grain was intended to be. Oh, and by the way, I want to point out something about Camoot. Here's a really cool study that they found that that Camoot reduced the LDLs, and it reduced the HDLs. It also reduced blood sugar, and it reduced inflammation. So again, think about how that's everything you're trying to do with the ketogenic lifestyle. So you could do that on a feast day by leaning into some of these ancient grains. Okay, let's talk about teff. So teff is used in Ethiopia a lot, and it's been known to help with anemia. So here's a study that they did on 592 pregnant Ethiopian women, and they found that eating teff daily was linked to significantly lower risk of anemia than people who didn't eat teff regularly or ate teff less frequently. So if you suffer with anemia, have you looked at teff as a solution? Again, let's put it in on some of these feast days. Okay, here's another one. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce this one right, but it's Frea, and we'll put a little spelling of it here. Frea's been known, it's high in carotenoids, and it's been known to help with eyes. So a higher intake of Frea has shown to have a lower risk of degenerative eye disorders. So things like cataracts and macular degeneration. Okay, well, let's go find that ancient grain, and let's start to use it again on our feast days. Okay, barley. So we're back at using barley as a way. Science is showing that barley can lower LDLs and raise HDLs. 14 different studies showed that 615 people who had diets that were high in barley had a significant reduction of LDLs and an increase in HDLs. Okay, well, let's think about how many of you who have had elevated cholesterol when you went into the keto lifestyle. And go back and watch my video that I did on coconut oil, because let's think this through for a moment. You go into the keto lifestyle and you take these grains away, and you're not getting the benefits of what the grains can do for your cholesterol. And then you're adding in the saturated fats. And without the grains, without short chain fatty acids, your cholesterol is going to go up. So what if your cholesterol went up from the keto diet? What if it's as simple as you need to throw in some feast days and put these grains in there? To me, this is where it's so fun to create your own puzzle and put it all together like that.
Okay, check this out. I have a free fasting guide for you all. It's free. And it's going to teach you all the basics of fasting. It's going to teach you how to kill hunger when you fast, which is really cool. And it's going to show you how to break your fast, among many other things. All you got to do is click on the link below and enjoy.
The last two I'll tell you about in the ancient grain category, and then I want to dive into some fermented grains, is quinoa. So this is great, especially vegetarians know that quinoa, They use it a lot instead of rice. It's anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. And check this out. I'm going to show you guys a study that rye, so getting to an ancient grain organic rye has been shown to help with constipation, and it does a better job with constipation in comparison to laxatives. So again, how many of you are fasting and doing keto and you're ending up with constipation? Let's throw in a feast day. Let's throw in a couple feast days and put some ancient organic rye in there. Last one I want to talk about, and that is fermented grains. And fermented grains like sourdough are incredibly helpful. So for fermented grains, they have lactic acid in them, which lowers down something called phytates. And this allows for better absorption of your minerals and your antioxidants. So let's go all the way back to the very first thing I said, which was that we've got these highly milled grains, whether they're gluten-free or they have gluten in them. When you highly mill them and process them, there's no minerals, there's no antioxidants. Then we move to these ancient grains. Now we've got a lot of fiber and we've got a lot of more minerals in them and more antioxidants. Now if you take those same grains and you ferment them, like what you find in a sourdough, now what you're doing is you're making those minerals absorb more easily into your body. So literally, this is the sourdough. The ancient grain sourdough is hands down the absolute best grain for you to eat because you're getting the benefit of the fermentation process. It's allowing you to absorb your minerals and your antioxidants better. So makes sense? So I hope I've got you rethinking grains. I love a keto lifestyle. I love a fasting lifestyle, but there are definitely times that you're going to want to add some of these grains in. And sourdough, ancient sourdough would be your best bet, but go check out some teff, try some of those other ones that I mentioned, Camoot, and see how your body responds to it. So as always, I hope that helps. Give me feedback. Let me know if that kind of information is beneficial to you. That way, I'll just keep doing more of these and customize this channel for you. So as always, I hope that helps.
Okay, where are my gals that are struggling with hormonal imbalance? Bloated, feeling like you're not making progress with weight loss? You need to add these foods in so that you can support better hormonal health.
There is a lifestyle that estrogen wants you to live, and there's a lifestyle that progesterone wants you to live.